I think I like this young blood speaking so well, so frankly. I think that's the angst of the generation. I mean, they would not like any type of discrimination. I mean, whatever might have happened in the past, but it is an egalitarian society, and everybody has a right to have its voice. Uh, on this issue, we all know that Australia had this thing, that Australia prepared a law because the tech giants were not agreeing to the bargaining arrangement which was being offered by their competition commission, and then the parliament issued a law, and then that is being done. Here also, as I understand, and I think all of you would be aware, the matter is before the Competition Commission of India. So, but let us await that. Today there was some article. Yesterday there was a decision of the Competition Commission related to Google, but that was on a different thing altogether. That was on anti-monopoly. But there is already a matter where I think some of the broadcasters federations have already gone there. And let's await the type of investigation and the results which come from Competition Commission. But yes, it is definitely an alarming factor where if the content is mine and you piggy ride on my content, but give me pittance, it worries. But let us see how it shapes up, but we are quite concerned about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mr. Wahi, what do you think? I mean, what is the experience in other countries like USA and Europe?
So I think most countries are struggling with this. France is also, I mean, in addition to Australia, has also now forcing the tech platforms to share a larger chunk of the revenues, building more transparency on that. I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg, because what's also happening is that we are going to see stringent privacy laws coming. So while a lot of tracking will happen in terms of who you are, what you're watching, but the privacy laws will also create more firewalls, which will also make it more difficult to do targeted marketing, etc. down the line. Because a year ago we were talking about a much bigger spread in terms of being able to access every consumer, who they are, what they buy. But a lot of the privacy laws will stop that. But I think the key conversation today is that more and more there has to be a transparency in terms of being, what is being spent on any platform, any media. And the same is happening on news today. We get so many WhatsApp groups which are circulating news on various platforms directly to us. Everybody is watching that. Nobody's getting paid for it down the line. So some level of regulatory mechanism, and again, it's always a very tricky, it's a very slippery slope. How much do you want to regulate this? Because social media today is what's going to drive it. If I look at social commerce, expected to reach $25 trillion in the next 5 years. Today it's only roughly about $4.5–5 trillion globally. So this is going to become more and more Insta, WhatsApp, advertising, spread of news, etc. on these platforms. And I think we need to be able to, and I think most governments are maybe 2 or 3 steps behind, because tech is definitely ahead of the curve. So how do you catch up? How do you learn from other countries like France, Australia, quickly bring in some of these regulations to enable better sharing of revenues, not to control what's being spent, but to enable better sharing of revenues is the way I think the whole world is moving ahead.
So, Uday, do you think that subscribers will be willing to pay for news? Because for entertainment, generally subscribers pay, whether it is Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. But in the case of news, what is your opinion? Or what should be the news content that subscribers are willing to pay?
So I think it depends on the content. Like the way TV9 is started, the premiumness of the content depends on that, the subscription. But there's a lot of opportunity to monetize. As I said, every 10 seconds you can take the heartbeat of every single client, what is being watched. You can integrate EPG. So there's a lot of potential on the advertising supported news as well. And connected TV is going to go really big. That is a big CPM rates going to come, because they really correlate satellite cable as TV. And when connected TVs really take off, there's a good opportunity on the monetization. But there's a lot of resistance today for a news on a subscription, unless it's a really premium in nature. But like, let's say for example, I'm based out of Atlanta, and when Aaj or TV9 comes, or Republic, I have to see the news ads from here. So there is a technology now available to put a SCT markers on the news channels itself. So on the server side, the ads can be replaced, and that can generate a significant CP advertising revenue. And that's even in the youngsters today, millennial, they're all on mobile, short form, and the technology with cloud playout enables to have a hyper-local channels without any cost. So that will enable the monetization, and also since being capex opex being low, it can be a great business model. Yeah.
And
With that, I have one question, sorry. My another question would be, what about the piracy that happens, outside India? Inside India, okay, we're able to regulate it, we're able to put the, piracy agencies, etc. But what happens outside India, like the NRIs and the NROs? So
We are the main, we are going through this. Actually, I met Minister also recently. It's really, really pathetic right now. Almost 90% of the international market is pirated. And we are the most affected because we are the only platform out there. People are downlinking channels, different parts, and they're uplinking. They would take content from all the OTT and they curate it, and they're selling as a boxes. So we have done a lot of extensive work. They've identified 5 main players. We're going after them, but it's a really, really big challenge. And I've been trying to convince all the broadcasters to go at least ad supported instead of getting or a low cost, to get to reach the diaspora audience.
So I have one question for you. So recently I had one of the tech giants, I don't want to name them, when I had a conversation with them, and I said, hey, my numbers are not, growing, it's just stuck at a certain level, in fact it's receding. So they said, oh, our algorithm has changed and we are now ranking only non-news content, not the news content. Do you think that controlling the narrative of what the people want, so that they'll only show them what is non-news and news is sort of being controlled?
Not really. That cannot be the
Will
objective.
we allow that?
We need to very closely look at what you're saying. We'll have a separate discussion on that. But definitely it cannot be a situation where a certain narrative or a certain type of content is only being allowed to be shown at the exclusion of others. And don't think there's anything more important than good news content. Entertainment can be there, entertainment can wait, but a good news content cannot. So definitely we'll look at that particular thing, but yeah.
I have one question for you, sir. Sorry, I've taken the thing. Sorry. So with initially earlier, the news coverage, every certain specific audience had, every specific news channel had a specific audience to deepen the news coverage, and the news coverage was thought through, right? Right now it's become so inexpensive, it's become very casual. Now everybody has the social media as they don't even look to media channels to go and say, hey, we need information. So what are the kind of tools and what are the kind of technology that we can equip our journalists and the media industry with, so that we can survive that bit?
So I think today, whether you are tracking your news journalist performance, there are large platforms available today. Again, these are large tech platforms today who can work with you, create the analytics, create the infrastructure to say how should they be able to track the performance, how should they be able to improve their effectivity, how can they also learn and get direct feed from other platforms. So enough is available today. I think in my view today, you can't do it alone. You have to partner with large tech platforms and bring them on board and say, okay, like a Google Cloud, AWS, bring them on board with you and say, okay, this is an ecosystem we want to create. We want to be able to connect with our journalists better. We want to be able to give them real time data and also enable and improve their performance. So I think it can be done. Lots of tools are available, and we can obviously discuss it and share some thoughts with you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all
we
from
had
me.
a very interesting and informative session. And thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you.